My name is Gabriela Sims. Most people call me Gabby. I am an engineering manager for Industrial Networks, and I identify as a lot of different things. There's racial identity, then like my hobbies, so like I'm an avid like crafter, like I quilt, I cook, everything. And then like for even like my background, I'm half Mexican, half black. I'm a woman in technology. There's a bunch of different tags you can put to it, and I'm comfortable with all of them. So that's, I think, a pretty good description. So I went to a school when I was a kid. It was a gifted school, so everyone had sort of an interest in science or an interest in math, like whatever it was. So you were sort of with this group of people that were very like you in that way. So you just got used to operating like that, and then as you went on, it just kind of, you stayed with those same people, and it wasn't really until you left and went to college that you realized that you'd grown up in this kind of bubble, I guess. So as kids, we studied Japanese, we studied Latin, I played violin, piano, none of it seemed odd to me until I got out of that school system, and then realized, oh, everybody's not doing this, okay. So then by the time I got to college, it kind of, I think, prepared me to come into the actual workforce, because that setting is still really the same. But I got kind of lucky because I had enough confidence by the time I got to it that I was already I don't really need, to feel so, I guess, I don't want to say comfortable, but I don't really need anyone else's validation. I've been doing this for so long, it just seems natural. So when I first started, I would say that I brought about 50% of myself to work every day. And that it's really kind of just to sort of check out the landscape. And this is at any new job, it's not just here. Kind of see what's happening and, see how basically how much of myself I can bring without making, people maybe uncomfortable or, maybe sort of inviting questions that I don't really want to answer necessarily. So it's kind of crept up to the point now where it's really, I bring probably, I'd say a smooth 85% of myself to work now. So it's actually been really eye-opening for me. I usually associate diversity and inclusion with being a woman first and then being a person of color, but I've heard so many different takes on it since this has started, and people that have felt more open, talking about even being an introvert, not being an engineer, or being someone who has a different job, especially at a company like Panduit where there's so many engineering focused roles. They're things that I just never considered because I sit in those pockets. I am an engineer, so I don't think about what it is to not be one and be here. So to hear those experiences from people, I think has been very eye-opening, and there's still a lot to learn where people might assume, well, I don't need to learn anything about that. Of course I know about diversity and inclusion. You do, but you know about diversity and inclusion for you. You don't know about it for other people, and it's something I think that's been really interesting. I think inclusion can be really simple. I think a lot of times it gets kind of put into a message of being very difficult or something you have to sort of adjust your whole life for, and I don't think it has to be like that. I think inclusion is as simple as sort of being aware that someone might need to feel included. So I think it's something as simple as just maybe acknowledging other people, their differences, or even just acknowledging what their experiences might be like. So I think it can be really something simple, even something as simple as inviting someone to lunch. If you notice someone's kind of just there all the time and they don't really go out to lunch, or they don't really talk to anyone, you can just make a simple effort of just, hey, would you like to come down to lunch, or just ask about their weekend. So I think even that simple, just acknowledging that person is there, that they're present, that it can kind of start there. And then on a broader scale, I think maybe asking for ideas from people, or if it's a professional setting, maybe trying to get more, I guess, viewpoints and making someone feel comfortable speaking up and feeling hey, you're part of this conversation too. Why don't you tell me what you think or what thoughts you have?